Gather round, folks, and let me tell you about Danny, the city-bred salesman, and his first encounter with the field engineers. Picture this: a dimly lit bunkhouse, a card game underway, and the tension so thick you could cut it with a knife. At one end sits our hero Danny, dressed to the nines, sweating bullets, but refusing to lose his cool. Opposite him, three gruff engineers, their grimy hands dealing cards with a devilish grin. The game rages on, each hand more intense than the last. Just when the suspense is about to peak, Danny drops a bombshell. He needs to use the outhouse. The engineers, seeing an opportunity to rattle Danny, warn him about the desert's infamous scorpions. You could see the hesitation in Danny's eyes, but he's not one to back down. Bold as ever, Danny, though hesitant, decides to brave it out into the dark desert. So, Danny, our city-bred salesman, ventures into the pitch-black desert, heading towards the outhouse. With each hesitant step, he can feel the desert's grit beneath his polished shoes. The stars above seem to twinkle mischievously, as if sharing a secret joke with the scorpions lurking in the shadows. The outhouse, a lonely structure in the vast darkness, looms ahead, a beacon of necessity in the desolate night. Fear of the unknown, or rather the unseen, grips Danny. Images of scorpions, as suggested by the field engineers, play on a loop in his mind. The desert, with its heat and dust, he could manage, but the thought of a scorpion's sting on his most vulnerable of places, that's a different story. As he reaches his destination, he takes a deep breath, preparing himself to face the unseen enemy lurking in the dark. His hand trembles as he reaches into his pocket and pulls out a match. The striking of the match against its box is loud in the hush of the desert, the flare of light momentarily blinding him. As the glow settles, Danny, with renewed courage, peers intensely at the toilet seat, scrutinizing every inch for the dreaded arachnids. Satisfied with his inspection, he recklessly flicks the still-burning match into the outhouse hole. And then the desert night is no longer quiet or dark. A sudden flash lights up the sky, followed by a resounding boom that echoes across the barren landscape. The outhouse, once a simple structure of necessity, now stands engulfed in flames, a blazing monument to Danny's city-bred ignorance. And our dear Danny, well, there he goes, running off into the night with his smoldering pants around his ankles, leaving behind a flaming outhouse and a group of engineers in absolute disbelief. The desert, once a silent witness to the night's events, now echoes with their laughter, a fitting soundtrack to this explosive tale. Well, folks, that's one way to leave an impression. As the dust settled, the engineers gaped at the flaming outhouse, then at the sight of Danny, his trousers ablaze, darting away into the desert night. Their chuckles echoed under the starlit sky, punctuated by the occasional sizzle from the smoldering ruins. This unforgettable night turned into a tale as legendary as the Hoover Dam itself, recounted with roaring laughter and a shake of the head. So remember, when life gets tough, just be thankful you're not Danny running into the desert night with smoldering pants and a burnt ego.